What is Succot?
Succot is the concluding festival in the days of awe. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and now Succot. If you like building and living in a fort, Succot is for you. It means booths, or tabernacles, and it is also known as the Feast of Tabernacles. In ancient times, Hebrews were commanded to make a pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem. The people were to dwell in temporary booths and thank God for providing for them. Many Jewish people still build booths today and live in them all week. Special blessings are given with the use of a lulav and an etrog. Here are some instructions on how to shake a lulav.
Last year, our friends at Jewish News asked, should marijuana be legalized for medical purposes?
Yes, it should, because they're in a lot of pain and it puts them at ease. And when my husband was dying, we couldn't get it, so he had to suffer. He had to take other painkillers, but marijuana would have been better.
Yes, I believe there is now sufficient proof to show that for medicinal purposes only, marijuana should be legalised.
Yes, it should be legalised. I think that if we can do anything we can to help people at the end of their life in chronic pain, then we should do it.
And finally, the state government here in Victoria have agreed to allow the sale of marijuana for medical use. And it's certainly partly the result of extraordinary work by our very own journalist, Helen Kapelos.
Started reading journal after journal, and I realised that the research had gone back some 51 years. So I was really intrigued about what was going on in Israel in the context of the world. And I'm glad, Ingrid, that you did show some of the black market operators, because desperate people are going to these black market operators all around the country. But there's no regulation. We don't know what's in the oil that they're providing. In some cases, it's proven to be canola oil, for example.
The speed that legalization is happening in Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington, the push in Germany, Italy, Czech Republic, Australia, it's moving faster. The social media has had a massive impact. People are not accepting the lies and the myths that have been fed to us.
So this is an example of great journalism combined with brave government coming about to change something that's been stuck for some time, the use of marijuana in society. Israel's been there for many, many years, and they're already streets ahead of Australia in producing great resolve for people suffering dreadful diseases.
Diabetes type 1, schizophrenia, anxiety, things of that. Inflammations, maybe Alzheimer's.
So when I was in high school, I was introduced to this thing, maybe you've heard of it, marijuana. Where is this in Judaism?
Wow, marijuana and Judaism in the same sentence. That could be seriously dangerous. But is it time now that we started talking about who's smoking and why?
My name is Yosef Leib. I am the author of Cannabis Hasidus, the Ancient and Emerging Torah of Drugs. I was really trying to get a sense of what the good gospel and the good religion that I was committed to was, as opposed to the flawed idealism of the Orthodox Judaism I grew up with, where I don't think they really had a good sense of how to deal with the world.
It's probably not talked about widely, but of course Jews are no different to non-Jews when it comes to experimenting with drugs, and religious Jews too will have had their opportunity. But what's come of that?
When I first started smoking, I was actually amazed at what kind of things did become clear. And I became very curious in my attempt to reconcile the good Judaism that I really was so sure had to be out there. So I went to Jerusalem after high school to go and try to find the secret lost Torah of marijuana.
And I've now found religious Jews online actually wanting to talk about the use of marijuana.
But still, I don't see it as any different than a beer or a glass of wine. I see it as very different. Marijuana is much less harmful to the body than alcohol could ever be.
This guy's responding to online questions that have been forwarded to him.
I usually abstain from being intoxicated. I don't like to be disoriented all the time. But do you think it is against Judaism? Marijuana is not against Judaism. The only reason it is in this country is because the country has made it illegal. If you went to Amsterdam, it would be perfectly permissible to smoke marijuana. Do you personally find marijuana use immoral? Not at all. I find it relaxing. I find it expands my consciousness. I find it makes me more spiritually oriented. And it's a wonderful plant.
Australians have the highest rate of cannabis use in the world, right? And it is crazy that there are, I think, 4 or 5 states now in the States, including Washington, D.C., Colorado, Oregon, that decided, and they said, look, making this illegal is just not working. People are going to smoke marijuana. Why do we let the bikie gangs profit off it instead of regulating it, licensing it, and making tax revenue to fund schools and hospitals?
So maybe there are genuine benefits to the recreational use of pot.
Stop. Stop it! I hate to break it to you boys, but with your grades, you might want to start looking at community yeshivas.
I can't go to community yeshiva. My parents would kill me. Oh, sorry, Rabbi. I let you down.
Can't get any worse.
We got into yeshiva.
I can't believe it!
Oh my God!
Nobelpriset i litteratur år 2016 tilldelas Bob Dylan.
A great Jewish stoner, Bob Dylan, gets the prize for literature. Why?
For having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition.
Marijuana! Lot of freaks!
So there's a fairly high chance that most of the lyrics that have just been recognised as Nobel Prize winning were written by Bob Dylan whilst he was stoned, and perhaps therefore society may consider the use of recreational drugs in a more positive light than they may have done previously. Let's give Bob Dylan, though, the last word.
There have been times when born again Christianity, Orthodox Judaism, both those were important to you?
Yeah.
Or is it a broader thing for you?
No, I want to figure out what's happening, you know. And so I did look into it all.
Did it make life easier?
Not necessarily, no.
Did it make it clearer?
Definitely made it clearer. This is a place you have to work certain things out.
What is it you do have to work out?
Well, you have to work out where your place is and who you are. But we're all spirit. That's all we are, just walking, you know, we're dressed up in a suit of skin. And we're going to leave that behind.